Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Wavering Wayfinders. Today's episode is about exploring new countries that maybe we don't know or we usually don't think about when it comes to travel. Because often we picture the big name for destination, such, Europe, Asia, South America, also Africa, North Africa, and also Australia. But the world is wider and we have many countries. And today we are going to dive into 5 countries. There are North Korea, Papua New Guinea, Kiribati, Tuvalu, and Nauru. That maybe we are not we don't know them, but they are unique in its own way. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think when we think about traveling, people always think about checking off the most famous landmarks, so Eiffel Towers, Times Square, the Great Wall. But there's another way of traveling that I think is quite interesting. If we talk about life seeing, it's not about sightseeing, but it's about stepping into places that challenge how you see the world. And I feel that today, these places we're going to discuss will definitely challenge how everyone sees the world, because they're not very known areas. And if they're known, they're not known for tourism per se.
Exactly.
But yeah, let's get into it. I think the first one you want to do, or we're going to do, is North Korea, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So North Korea is one of the most isolated countries on the earth. And this is for the politic. It's not because it's not that isolated, like the island that we are going to talk about after, but it's simply for the politic reason. But you can go there, like there is no problem going there and visit there. The only problem is that it's a little bit tricky to enter. You need to organize everything, and the travel needs to be organized and accepted by the North Korea. And this way you can enter North Korea, and everything that you see is organized for the tourists. So for this reason it's a little bit complicated to visit it, but this doesn't mean that it's not worth going there. Because for example, let's talk about the capital, that is Pyongyang. Pyongyang is one of the oldest city of North Korea, and it was destroyed after the Korean War, during the Korean War, and after it was rebuilt. And it was rebuilt to help the population. So the Kim Second-sang wanted to most boost the morale of the population after all the work they did. And for this reason, there is more of Soviet architecture with a 3-laned boulevard, a lot of terrace landscape and mosaic. And it's not that beautiful, but it's beautiful in a way. It's a little, how is Soviet style architecture is a little bit cold as an architecture, but
I think you've pretty much got it right there. Like, it's very almost Soviet era communism type of architecture. But as you've said, one interesting thing about North Korea, I would say, is that first of all, your travel is going to be heavily controlled, as you mentioned. So think tour guide that shows you exactly what to see, when to see it, and what it looks like. But one thing we do know about communist era architecture is that they tend to get one thing right, and that happens to be like the underground metros. And so if you know Russia has got some beautiful underground metros, and that's a similar thing you can see in Pyongyang. It's got the world's deepest metro, one of the deepest metros in the world, and it's glowing with chandeliers and mosaics, almost like a palace underground. So as you descend into one of those metros, you think that you're sort of dropping into a very grim, very scary place, but when you get there, it almost feels like you're in an underground marble palace.
Yeah, and also in the capital, there is this tower, the Juice Tower, that is just beautiful. And is this long, tall tower is 170 meters, and that is dedicated to the Juice idea, which means self-reliance, that it was founded by Kim Sang, and that it was the Korea's first leader. And this tower was built to commemorate his birthday, his 70th birthday, and it is composed by 25,500 blocks for each days of his life. So it's a big tower for this important political person for the North Korea. And it's interesting how North Korea is based on is so dedicated to the Kim family, because a lot of monument is just dedicated to, the people that created the country and want to govern to do the country. And for this reason, there is also the International French Exhibition. There is a massive museum complex in North Korea. There is a little bit outside of Pyongyang, but is near Pyongyang. And in this case, you can see all the gifts that were sent to the Kim family. And there are a lot of gifts. There are 2 floors of just gifts to the Kim family. And one of the most important series of gifts is the one from Russia. So there is a collection of butterfly also. There is one from the United States. So there are a lot of type of gifts, and you can go there and see the beauty of these gifts, because rich people tend to have beautiful gifts, not as we have.
I think you're right, and that's the vibe you expect to experience in North Korea. It's this. It's almost a touristic experience where you're being shown how beautiful North Korea is. Look at the wealth we have. Look at the power we hold. Look at our beautiful leaders that lead over our country. I think the monuments, like you spoke about the Tower of Jude, it's the idea is almost to dwarf visitors and elevate the ideology that they have. It's such surreal, massive proportions, how big these things are, that you almost feel like you're in a movie set. I've heard, like, it almost feels like something, wow. Like it's very interesting. I think what I also had found was that there's a Kumsusan, the Palace of the Sun, which is where a lot of the former leaders, lie in state. So we're talking, it's more of a burial and one of those areas where you go and you can just garner some appreciation for the past leaders of North Korea.
And talking about how big they do things, there is also the mass game. The mass games are this enormous synchronized performance, and is a show that lasts more or less 1.5 hours. And it is such a beautiful show because there is acrobatics, dancing, music, propaganda, patriotism, a lot of things, and everything is coordinated. It's a beautiful, beautiful. I mean, I didn't see it, but I look at the photos and it seems so beautiful that all these people that are in these stadiums, because it's in the stadium of Mayday Stadium, that can hold about 100,000 people and more. So it's really big. And for this, and we can say that it is big because they wanted to do these mass games inside it. And if you can go to Pyongyang, I mean, at least go during the period in which they do these mass games, because I think it works. Just, sometimes shows are really beautiful. And in this case, they seem so beautiful.
I agree. I mean, the whole beauty of North Korea is going to be in the wonder of a very well put together tourist experience. As we said earlier, you're going to be led to what to see. So you will be sure that the things that you're pointed out to see will be like top quality. I do think that those games are probably something of awe. Just to see that many people coordinated and performing these different traditional acts all the way to acrobats is amazing.
So, after all, North Korea doesn't seem so bad. I mean, you need to just put your mind in the fact that you are going to be controlled.
Yeah.
But rather than that, you can still enjoy this the country and everything that it offers to you.
Absolutely.
So next country is Papua New Guinea.
Or Papua New Guinea.
Exactly. And it is interesting that this part of the island has more than 800 languages.
Wow.
And it's crazy because it's just a part of the island. It is not a full island. It's just a part of the island. And it has so many languages. And this means that I have also a lot of culture when it comes to art, dances, and tradition. And the funny thing that we saw for Papua New Guinea and also the other island that we're going to talk about later is that we have a lot of Second World War relics. And I didn't expect this when I was trying to, research for these countries. And it was fascinating, I guess.
It is. Honestly, I think I found the same thing. I was like, all of these small island nations will have something dedicated to the Second World War, which is really not what you expect. But in terms of Papua New Guinea, I mean, I have to echo what you said in terms of the 800 languages and the different types of the culture that you will see. I mean, we're talking about thousands of people with different body art, and they're very well known for the birds of paradise, and they use those feathers from the birds of paradise to make very intricate headdresses. So it's interesting to see a place where culture has survived so many centuries, and at the same time, it's such a small place. So it's great.
Crazy. But even though it's small, it has some beautiful spots, such as the Tufi Fjord. And there is this, it's a typical fjord, all the little islands, but it's formed by glacier that are volcanic in origin that creates deep and dramatic coastline. So if you're into photography, I mean, Papua New Guinea can give you some beautiful landscape. And also there are some over-the-water villages, because traditional villages in Papua New Guinea tends to be over the water, and this can offer you an authentic experience of the local culture. And be near the water, and with this beautiful crystal water, you can do some beautiful diving experience. You can explore the coral reefs and simply the nature there is under the water. So and Rabaul is a volcanic caldera, and it's known for being so dramatic shaped by the volcanic eruption, and it seems like it has a lunar landscape, because the surrounding is just like the moon. It's just full of little
craters.
Yeah. So it's really cool, really, really cool.
I would say I would agree that it is a very surreal area. And when you mentioned the cultural displays, we have Mount Hagen Cultural Show, which is one of the world's most dazzling tribal gatherings. imagine thousands of people, as I said earlier, from the highlands. Their bodies are painted brilliant reds and yellow, and it's just a display of traditional culture that is something to be amazed at. And with a country with over 800 languages, you can only imagine the diversity that you're expecting there. Another thing we had seen is the Sepik River villages, where longhouses are filled with carvings and masks and just artifacts that are older than written history. So you've got to imagine that there's such old and diverse culture in this small island, part of an island, that it's definitely worth exploring. You talked about Rabaul and Kokopo. Another interesting aspect is that when we're looking at the relics from World War II, this is where you're going to find them. So right alongside those amazing craters and volcanic formations, you might expect to find a few downed aircrafts in the beautiful water and wrecks. A very, very unique experience.
Yeah, and also another spot if you want to go there is the Mount Busavi. There is also an instinctive volcano. There, all the mountains are volcanoes, and it was collapsed by a cone, and this formed a massive rainforest. And it's a little bit difficult to go there, but you can go there by trekking or with airplanes. So yeah, if you want to feel like Indiana Jones and go there with airplanes and go down and live the adventure, maybe Mountain Busavi is not that bad.
I think so. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. At the end of the day, it's a lovely jungle wilderness, and it'll be amazing to explore. I think our third place is going to be Kiribati and Tuvalu, which is a paradise. I mean, a lot of these places we're talking about, these islands that we're discussing right now, are paradise destinations. Think more breathtaking, but also fragile. You've got to imagine you're standing on a strip of land so narrow that you can see the sunrise on one side and the sunset on the other side. Tuvalu, you've got it's such an interesting destination that I think the airstrip when you come into Tuvalu is also doubles as a football field. So you've got kids playing football, and then we see a plane is landing, and they're like, okay, move. Yeah, new people visiting. So that's what you're dealing with when you visit some of these places.
I mean, it's one of the smallest country, Tuvalu, and it's not even an island. It's just a line of sand, and this is the crazy part of everything. And but there is this place that is called Nanumanga, or Fire Caves, and that it was discovered by divers in the 80s, and is a caracal, is caves formed by caracal, and they say that maybe in these caves there were some humans activity back in the days, and possible they were using fires because sometimes rocks can tell us something about the past, and now they are submerged by the water because the sea level has risen during the years. But back in the days, it was just land. So this is very cool. See how the landscape changed during the time.
Absolutely, and once again, Kiribati. In Tarawa, we've got to talk about World War II again. One of the fiercest battles were fought in that area. So if you're into history about the war, then that's probably somewhere you'd want to see. The outer atolls, we're talking about a postcard perfect, yes, precarious area where beauty and fragility meets. Once again, we're talking about a sand bank of a. We're not even an island when we talk about Tuvalu. But one thing that I would say is that you get some beautiful lagoons with those beautiful shades of blue and hidden reefs and even giant clams just beneath the surface. So you've got to think about a very unique destination. We're talking World War II relics rusting besides palm trees and bunkers and guns that are now claimed by sand and sea. It's very interesting.
The funny thing is that if you're into history and especially Second World War, you can go there for this reason, but you can also go there for bird seeing. A lot of people like to, bird seeing, and and why not go there and see, these massive colonies of noddies. I don't know the exactly birds, but they say there are a lot of bobbies, fringe birds, and terns that especially like to do the nest in these areas. So why not go there and see this type of species? They're just close to this island.
When we then think, as we've now just covered that, we're moving on to Nauru, which is an interesting place because, again, it's a paradox, almost a contrast between extreme wealth, collapse, and resilience. This was once one of the world's richest nations per capita, thanks to phosphate. Nauru is now rebuilding on scarred land. Its interior looks a lot like forests and jagged limestone pinnacles left from mining, and yet it's quietly beautiful. So one interesting thing about this is how small it is, and the idea that you can drive the outer ring road in about 30 minutes and you would have crossed the entire island. But I just think that when talking about these destinations, they're definitely one of those once in a lifetime places to visit because they're so unique. And they will definitely challenge your view on what the world is.
You're really isolated by everything and everyone. I mean, I don't know how people can live there their whole life. And it is amazing to think about this. And for being the third smallest country in the world is, full of culture also, because even though he's small, he has this really deep history with phosphate mining. And nowadays, it depends on other country, of course. But back in the day, he was really rich. So,
yeah,
And
I think that's about right. If you want to see what it looks like to go through those that little wave of richest country to not, it's one of those places will give you that idea. But in other things, you can also visit Anniber Bay, which has sparkling sands and aquamarine waters, which is often empty. So probably if you're really into that beach escape, it would be something to do. If you're also looking for lagoons, you've got Boada Lagoon, which is a freshwater oasis on the island's green heart. Once again, those war buffs out there, this Command Ridge, which is a World War II bunker and guns which overlook the Pacific, because you've got to imagine that these were key areas for defending invasions into the larger countries in the area. And once again, if you just want to go and have a look at the phosphate plateaus, it's honestly like walking on another planet. So there's a lot of things that you can do in even an area as very, I don't want to say random, but very, you would not expect all these things to be located in an island that takes about 30 minutes to transverse. Yeah. Nauru is haunting and authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. And also by these simple villages that there are many villages, and in these villages, the church life is really deep, and you cannot expect this from a small country, a small island, but they do this massive musical and vibrant songs that you really want to, enjoy them with them. And a few villages that are known are like Yaren, or also Meneng and Aiwo. And these three villages, yes, are known for the churches and also the parliament, but also for the murals and the phosphate era buildings. So, you have the nature, and at the same time you also have village and some architecture that maybe you didn't expect from this country.
I think so, and that's what makes it beautiful. So when we're thinking about these holiday destinations, we've got to take the journey into perspective. And what they teach us a lot about resilience, culture, politics, history, and the environment, because a lot of these nations played a key role in times that are now past, be it World War or phosphate mining, which was important to the world. And now they almost feel forgotten. They really embody that idea of life seeing over sightseeing. And if you're drawn to roads that are less traveled, these are probably places that will help shift your perspective. Instead of just filling your passport, you could have a very different experience.